Thank you, Rachel, and thank you everyone for participating. I'm going to go ahead and get started, and I'll leave time at the end for any questions or feedback, so feel free to type things as they come up for you. Today's topic is meeting clients' needs. The objectives today are to understand basic needs as described by Abraham Maslow, and to understand why some families engage in challenging behaviors based on those needs, and to learn how to use family needs to guide our services. Our family needs do not always look like what we would expect. An individual may come in and say, I need help, and we immediately want to help them. However, our families come to us, we don't immediately know what they need or how best to help them. They tell us they need money for bills, maybe food, help finding a job, transportation to work, help budgeting their money, somewhere to live, or maybe someone to talk to. However, they may need something more before they can get to what exactly they're asking for. Take, for instance, this scenario. You sign up a family for Pathway of Hope. Initial contact was made in the food pantry. The mother came in needing to feed her family of 3. Her initial goal identified is to obtain an income to move into more permanent housing. These action steps were developed to help her meet her family needs. The goal is to obtain an income, and the action steps are to seek and find employment within 90 days, she'll enroll in a vocational program or some other program that will lead to employment, possibly completing her GED. Her second goal was then to save for security deposit for housing. Her action steps were she's going to save 10 to 20% of the income she'll make from the job she obtained, and she'll be able to pay off her delinquent bills. Now, looking at these action steps here, they're more in line with what a stable average person is trying to do. An individual whose basic needs have not been met will have difficulty meeting these goals. Take the employment goal. A person with an education, job history, and a great support system has a difficult time finding employment. Now add lack of sleep, malnourishment, lack of stable housing, child care issues, bad credit, tickets, warrants. How easy will it be for this person to obtain an income? To help us answer that question, let's meet Abraham Maslow, a personality theorist who's most known for developing what is called the hierarchy of needs. In his research, he noticed that some needs took precedence over others. Maslow was one of the first theorists to study what was considered successful or self-sufficient individuals. He studied people that he called exemplary for their time, such as Albert Einstein, Jane Addams, Eleanor Roosevelt, and Frederick Douglass. Rather than following his predecessors or his peers and only studying mentally ill or neurotic people, he believed that the study of, and these are his words, crippled, stunted, immature, or unhealthy specimens can yield only a crippled psychology. Although these people were not perfect, they were seen as pillars in their community. Maslow believed in self-actualizing, which means reaching one's highest potential. However, he found that things could get in the way and impede this progression. Maslow believed that difficult living conditions, stressful life, or interpersonal experiences may move you away from your true self, and that we cannot progress up the hierarchy until we have satisfied the needs at lower levels. Maslow's theory, and just introducing his theory, the basis of his theory is that human beings are motivated by their unsatisfied needs, and that certain lower needs have to be satisfied before higher needs can be worked on. According to Maslow, there are general types of needs: physiological, safety, security, relational, and esteem and worth. These needs must be satisfied before a person can meet that highest potential. One of his findings stated that satisfying needs is healthy, while preventing the gratification or satisfaction of our needs makes us unhealthy. And that could mean literally, physically unhealthy, or it just makes us behave in unhealthy ways. Maslow's theory assumed that a person attempts to satisfy the more basic needs before directing behavior towards satisfying the upper level needs. He refers to the first two levels of needs as basic needs or survival needs. The third and fourth levels meet psychological needs, and the remaining need is referred to as that self-fulfillment need. Survival needs must be satisfied before a higher order need begins to control a person's behavior. For example, if hungry and thirsty, most people deal with thirst first, a stronger need than hunger. And even if extremely thirsty but unable to breathe, everyone would agree that breathing trumps thirst. Moving up the hierarchy, a person would need to satisfy their physical needs, such as hunger, before they can build healthy relationships. His theory holds that human beings are motivated by unsatisfied needs. A satisfied need ceases to motivate. Once that hunger is satisfied, I no longer feel hungry. So hunger is no longer my motivation for my behavior. When a need is mostly satisfied, it no longer motivates, and the next higher need takes its place. The first level meets the physiological or those survival needs. Physiological needs are the very basic needs, such as air, water, food, and sleep. When unsatisfied, one may feel sick, irritated, and or uncomfortable. Not having this need met is universally seen as a crisis. These needs must be met quickly to reestablish equilibrium or your natural balance, and in some instances, it's necessary to live. Challenges we may see on this level. Individuals may not be very forthcoming with essential information needed to help their situation on this level. When clients come in on this level, they may be likely to be in survival mode. We all need the bare essentials to live. They may tell you whatever they think you want to hear in order to get their needs met. There's no trust. There is only, how do I get what I need? We may also come in contact with clients who work through this level very quickly, and then they seem to get stuck. We wonder, why were they able to access that cooling center by themselves? Now that they have a place to stay in this extreme heat, why aren't they ready to do what they need to get into a shelter or some other temporary, more permanent housing? Individuals need time to acclimate themselves to more stable environment or situation. At times they are coming out of chaotic environments and lifestyles, and giving them time to just exhale in this state can be beneficial. Individuals may become preoccupied with things like food, clothes, to the point of pathological. We have met that client that seems to come to the food pantry every week, although we believe they still have food from the past 6 weeks. When we ourselves go on diets, we become preoccupied with food. What are we going to eat? Will it be enough to satisfy me? And that's the type of dieting we do by choice. Our clients may become so consumed because they never want to be without again that they begin to engage in unhealthy, possibly hoarding behavior. The second level that Maslow discusses meets the safety and security needs. Once physiological needs are satisfied, one becomes interested in finding stability, protection, and a safe environment. They now need structure and predictability in their life. They want a home, a safe environment, a doctor's appointment, and regular income. challenges that we may see at this level, we may feel like going to live with family would make the individual feel safe. However, some family members in that household may have been abusive to them in the past. Going to live in a shelter may sound safer than living on the street to you, but to your client, their child may have been bullied or harassed or even beat up in a previous shelter. They perceive every situation to be like the last situation that wasn't safe and caused them harm. A person may have issues trusting others. Their perception can be distorted. They can only trust themselves, and others do not care about their needs and may be out to get them. This client may question, why are you helping them, and think that you are only trying to get in their business when you ask all of your questions. Other challenges you may see when safety needs are not met for long periods of time, insecurities begin to set in. An individual may start to believe that this is how life will be for them, and they will lose the will and motivation to make changes. They see living in constant fear as the only way of life. You may even see them overcompensate by being overly aggressive so they don't appear vulnerable. When safety needs are not met, we can't move to the next level. For instance, if you have one partner in a relationship that is abusive to the other, the abused partner cannot move to the next level because they're in constant concern for safety. So the third level meets the relational needs, and this goes into the psychological needs of the hierarchy that Maslow talks about. Once a person has met the lower level physiological and safety needs, higher level relational needs begin. Although these relationships may have existed in the past, a person now wants to be a participant in the relationship. It may be family, peers, church, or just interactions with their significant other. Prior to this, a person may have felt invisible, like they weren't part of a family. They were on the outskirts trying to live and had nothing to offer a relationship because they felt they had to focus solely on themselves in order to survive. Challenges we could possibly see in this level. Human beings have a need for companionship and acceptance. Without it, there is a natural void that leads to loneliness and social anxieties. They may become uncomfortable with people once they have become accustomed to being by themselves. This could also be a lack of peer interaction. For example, a parent that only interacts with their small children, let's say they couldn't afford child care in the past and now they have been given that as a resource. They don't know what to do with their free time. They don't know how to find people to connect with. As humans, we all have the desire to love and belong to groups, whether it's perceived positive, like families, love interests, clubs, work groups, religious groups, or it could be perceived negative, like gangs, abusive relationships, hostile work environments, toxic or controlling relationships. We still all have a need to be loved and accepted by others. Others may see the relationship as unhealthy. We as the health professions may feel like you need to get out of this relationship immediately. However, to that person, they view it as meeting their needs. A person's perception or attitude regarding relationships may change after a long time without a healthy connection. They may say things, and you've probably heard this: I don't like being around people. I don't do large groups. I don't do groups. This may be a defense mechanism to avoid rejection. Individuals who have been in crisis mode for long periods of time sometimes feel invisible to others and do not see a benefit in interacting with others. These are your clients who now have adequate child care, or their children are enrolled in school and don't know what to do with their free time. And you're referring them to enroll in a GED class, Bible study, or in another group where they can interact with peers, they always say no. You feel like, well, you have this time, you want to use it, and they always say no. Attempting to join a group leaves them vulnerable for rejection. This level may take more time to ease them into the idea, as they are just beginning to feel safe and secure. The fourth level meets the esteem or their self-worth needs. Once a person feels a sense of belonging, they then need to feel valued. Esteem needs may be classified as internal or external. The internal esteem needs are those related to their self-esteem, such as self-respect, achievement, responsibility, independence, and accomplishment. Things that help them see the value of themselves. External esteem needs are those such as social status and recognition, attention, and appreciation. This is how others show them that they are valued. Some challenges that we may see at this level. Our clients may appear to be completely on track with their goals and they're building more natural support. However, they still seem like they don't feel like they matter. They feel some depression, a low feeling of self-worth that they cannot get past. Individuals may suffer from past trauma and abuse that we aren't aware of. Sometimes they're not even aware of it, and this can cause them to have low self-esteem. They may also need, and that's probably the case, more clinical and psychiatric support than a case manager or someone on our staff may be able to provide if they're not a licensed professional therapist or social worker. Many of our clients have been invisible for so long, they are looking for others to acknowledge them before they can feel good about themselves. We work with individuals and we see all the great progress that they're making. However, they're actually unable to feel that pride within themselves because they're waiting for a parent or some other very specific individual to tell them they're doing a good job. Another challenge we might see is once an individual makes it to this level, much of the work they do are based on the decisions that they make outside of that professional relationship. They will need to rely less and less on the case manager, and they have to learn to trust themselves and be confident in their ability. And that's a challenge because maybe they haven't gotten that recognition from that person that they're looking for, so they don't feel confident yet. You may see a client on this level who meets all their goals, but they still want to meet with you weekly and go over every decision they make with you. It will be important to help them transition into more independence. So the last level for Maslow's hierarchy of needs is the self-actualization, and it's the highest level, and it's the quest for reaching one's full potential. The need for self-actualization, according to Maslow, is the desire to become more and more your true self and working towards your highest potential. People are seeking knowledge and understanding and peace. They will find themselves looking for that knowledge as opposed to just assuming they know all the answers from their past experiences. Some challenges that we see at this level, and I just want to be honest, the truth is we may not see a lot of challenges at this level because the hope is our clients will start needing our services less and less. And so because we're not seeing them as much, the challenges aren't as obvious. However, if contact with the client does remain, you may notice your client becoming bored or stagnant in their process because they really don't know where to go. They've relied on their past experiences and their defense mechanisms to kind of get them to this point. And this level is a level that states, I'm going to seek out more. The clients may also begin to question the meaning of life. Now that life is a little more stabilized for them, they see a future that they didn't see before. They were in survival mode. It was today, my need right now. So now they're looking at the future. They are not interested in what it's all about. They are now interested in what it's all about and what it means for them. So those are the hierarchy of needs as Maslow explained them, and those are some of the challenges that we see with our clients when we're working with them. One of the things that we want to look at is, how can we now meet those needs? How do we meet those needs? How do we use what we know about the needs to better assist our clients? There are many services that we provide and many things that we do now to help meet their needs. We have to learn how to be more strategic when we're providing these services as we start to see where our clients are at on the hierarchy. For instance, for the physiological needs, continue to provide those basic necessities to our clients: the food, clothing vouchers, financial assistance, shelter. This helps our clients move out of that survival or crisis mode. For the safety and security needs, we have to realize that trust has to be built between the client and the helper. That can be done by our case management and being consistent with them. If there is an appointment scheduled and they miss the appointment, call them. Let them know you noticed that they weren't there. Let them know that you want to be consistent about the work that you do with them and meeting with them. If you schedule an appointment and something comes up and that happens, we're busy, let them know as soon as you can, and or try to find someone else who can meet them. Start establishing other relationships where they can build that trust in not just you, but in your core, in the site that you work at, in your shelter, wherever that may be. Be honest with them. Don't tell them you're going to do things that you can't control. Sometimes it's very easy to say, I'm going to get you in this shelter, or I'm going to make sure this happens. There are things that we don't have control over. But they remember those things, and they don't see it as they tried and couldn't do it. They see it as, this is another person that lied, and they go into protection mode. For the love and belonging level, some of the things that we do is we give referrals. We give referrals to different groups, character groups, to ministry groups. We refer them to GED classes. One of the things that we can also do is invite group leaders or other facilitators to your office while you're meeting with that client so that they can start building a relationship. That client, again, will be vulnerable going out and meeting new people. So just sending them somewhere may be difficult. But if they start to trust you in that last level, in that safety and security phase, you bringing someone in, they may feel like, oh, maybe I can start to trust this person. This may take a while, so give it time. Our clients are vulnerable and may have had experiences that we don't know about. We can offer and share our knowledge, but we don't ever want them to feel forced. When they feel safe and secure and they trust your words, they'll be able to open up. For esteem needs, let's celebrate our clients' accomplishments. A simple high five or a printed certificate of accomplishment, or write up in a newsletter or a picture on the bulletin board. But first, we want to make sure we get the proper releases. But don't miss an opportunity to celebrate what has been done. A little recognition can go a long way. they still may be looking for that recognition from a parent or that specific person. But if we continue to acknowledge what they've done, that they may start to internalize that a little more. Now, for those clients who have moved towards and are in that self-actualization need stage, we want to continue to give them support. They are making decisions for themselves. We've planted the seeds, and we can continue to give them referrals and connect them with people that they may need. However, this level, they've hopefully learned to seek out resources for themselves. Now, Maslow definitely has had success with the hierarchy of needs. It's used both in and out of the psychology field. Organizations use it in terms of working with staff and moving staff from maybe a very basic level and up. However, we have to know that there are some criticisms to Maslow's theory. Maslow places his hierarchy of needs on a triangle shape. This implies a few things. First, that lower level needs of physiological safety take up more space and more effort, and that those higher needs, those more psychological and that self-fulfilling needs, are smaller in scale, which means they would take less effort. Some would disagree and believe that internal needs would be harder to satisfy than those seen as more tangible. Second criticism is the need priority model does not apply at all times in all places. For example, we all have heard stories of parents who were willing to die and sacrifice their lives for their children. The parent placed far less importance on their own physiological, that bottom level, that bottom need and safety needs, for more importance on the love and belonging needs. And that third criticism is the level of motivation may be permanently lower for some people. For example, a person suffering from chronic unemployment may remain satisfied for the rest of his life if he can just get enough food. If he's had trouble getting employment for years, or he's had employment and then lost it in a short amount of time, he may just be content with having enough food on his table for his family, therefore not necessarily motivated to get a larger income or to be more stable and secure in that way. As service providers in a faith-based organization, we're also responsible for understanding the implication of Maslow's theory, but also other theories as we work with our clients, and the influence it has over our clients and also our mission. It is believed that without God in Maslow's theory, our clients will continue to find themselves in hopeless situations. Without Christ integrated into all the areas of need, individuals cannot actualize. Actualization does not happen completely with self, but with the divine assistance and inspiration of God. Maslow's theory is not perfect, yet it does give us some useful categories and fits into the mission strategy put forward by William Booth, the founder of the Salvation Army. And this is a quote from him. But what is the use of preaching the gospel to men whose attention is concentrated upon a mad, desperate struggle to keep themselves alive? He also went on to say, at another time, to get a man soundly saved, it is not enough to put on him a new pair of breeches or give him regular work or even to give him a university education. These things are all outside of man, and if the inside remains unchanged, you have wasted your labor. You must in some way or other graft upon the man's nature a new nature, which has in it an element of the divine. So William Booth was saying exactly what Maslow said. I can't give you more until you know that you're going to be alive. But also, you have to recognize that anything I give you, it all comes from God. Oh, I feel like this one really quick. Okay, the hierarchy of needs is a tool. When setting goals for the individuals we work with, we have to pay closer attention to the present state of the individual. The hierarchy of needs pyramid is just a tool that can be used for this. It provides an outline of some important issues that must be addressed for individuals to satisfy their needs and to become more sufficient. So that's the overview, and hopefully I was able to meet the objectives. If there are any questions, hopefully you type them in, but also at this time, I'm interested in hearing from the participants, what are some of the services that you all are providing, and in using the hierarchy pyramid, what need is it helping your clients to meet?
All right, so we don't have any questions yet, but if anyone would like to respond to the question that Taedra posed or type in a question or comment related to the topic, we'd love to hear from you. If you just type in the little box and hit submit, and then we'll kind of keep an eye out for those. We'll give you a minute to type. Okay, so we have a few responses. That shelter, food, and clothing, meeting those basic needs. Continued case management offered through Pathway of Hope is a good example.
Definitely. I think definitely those shelter and those emergency social services that we provide meet those basic needs for our clients. And as we continue to do that, we can help them get to that safety and security level.
A few other comments is connection to the church or the core, you know, those higher needs of why am I here, having that on site with the core settings. And then another person referencing, you know, basic needs by providing food, clothing vouchers, rent, utilities, and assistance, things like that.
And I definitely think, again, Maslow did not, at the time of his research, connect his work with, I think, a spiritual perspective. But since then, a lot of researchers have gone back in and said a lot of what he says really touches home with having a spiritual foundation. Later on in his, I guess, his work, and while he worked, there was a on top of self-actualization, there was another level that was added, and it's called transcendence. So once people self-actualized, they began to believe that then people wanted to give back to others. So it was no longer about what is my purpose, it's helping people to move up the hierarchy of needs as they did.
All right, we've got a few comments and questions that came in. The first one is, where or how do severe and chronic substance abuse apply to the hierarchy? And
actually, I have some references, so when this is posted, one, and not just one, there are agencies that have actually used this, substance abuse agencies that have used this model, understanding that people use drugs and substances to meet a need. And so once you kind of get to the basic needs, and once needs are satisfied, once they get to that level, they can't be satisfied. So you may give them food and water and a safe place to stay, and then they get to that security and trusting, and they never kind of meet that, and they stay there in when working with their substance abuse, hoping, and the hope and the model is that if we can help them to feel safe and secure, then maybe they will not use the substances anymore.
All right, then there was a comment sharing that they're doing a one-night retreat on the 5 love languages of kids to help with some of those higher needs about relationships between the parent and the child. And then, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say they're doing can you repeat that?
A one-night retreat on the 5 love languages of kids.
Okay.
Then we've got some additional comments regarding skills such as interviewing, employment support, and belonging, help with that esteem and building that. In Pathway of Hope, we can act as cheerleaders to motivate our clients and their achievements. And we have a couple comments along that same line.
And actually for Pathway of Hope, that the celebration, and there's actually those gift cards that kind of recognize and give them an award of some kind, an incentive for their achievements and their accomplishments. So really taking the time to have those graduation ceremonies can mean more than just the checkbox on things to do for a Pathway of Hope client. That can really, again, a little pat on the back can go a long way.
Correct. And then we've got, how do we get beyond a person's denial that they need to work to provide for their family?
In other studies of Maslow and just motivation, is that a lot of times that's from a defense mechanism. They're saying, I don't want to work, or I can't find a job, or they're not looking for work because, again, there may be some vulnerability of being rejected and not feeling like they have the skills, not feeling like they will be able to do the work. So instead of saying that, they're just saying, I don't have to find a job. I can live off of this, or I just need the bare necessities. And it really is helping them, whether it's feeling safe and secure, but dealing with the vulnerability of, what would happen if you tried and you failed?
Okay, we've got another comment about recognition of accomplishments and continued support are very important. A comment about that it's helpful in Pathway of Hope that we can promote spiritual guidance as part of the holistic approach, so meeting those higher level needs. And then we've got a question. Clients sometimes express their anger towards us that we are not meeting their expectations with our program. Do you have any tips for best turning that type of situation around?
Well, and this is in Pathway of Hope, the strengths-based assessment, and Maslow actually uses it as the philosophy, talks about the philosophy of future. When clients are saying we're not doing what they need them to do, it's kind of asking them that question of, if this was the perfect situation, what would we be doing for you? Sometimes they don't even know. They just know that this isn't it. But if your life was exactly how you wanted it, with us helping you, what would that look like? And sometimes that can help us to get to where we need to go with them. What do they want the end result to be? And then we can work from there. I hope that answers the question.
I think that was good. Another comment, helping with basic needs like food, bus passes, clothing are often used to keep clients motivated in the Pathway of Hope. So I'm thinking they're meaning by meeting those basic needs, it's motivating them to kind of start addressing some of those other issues.
Yes, and then with Pathway of Hope, you have that case management, which takes you to that next level of that consistency and that meeting with them regularly to build that trust and security.
Yes. Next question. How can we encourage our families to take a risk to gain employment and then lose their benefits?
And I think we can only give our clients options. at the end of the day, and I think I said, we can't push them to do things that they don't want to do. But if you set out all of their options for them, and hopefully they're in a healthier space where they can make that decision for themselves.
All right, we have one more question for now, but feel free to keep typing, people. These are good questions today. Well, they're always good questions, but how do you address a client that doesn't tell the truth? Do you ignore the behavior?
And I think it goes back to that challenge of that very basic, there's a trust factor. And until they trust where this information is going and what you're going to do with the information and what you're going to do for them, they may not be forthcoming with information. I think it's very healthy to address it and let them know if you know for a fact something's not true. But that can be done in a very nurturing way. If you know what the true answer is, say, I wonder what the situation would be like if it looked like this. And let them know that by being honest, by being open, that you can still help them. A lot, and I had an example, and I actually took it out, of a young woman who was unable to get medication for her child. She had like a $2 copay for her child's ADHD medication, and she was unable to afford that. And so when she was going to food pantries, she had her son, and she was leaving him outside because she didn't want anyone to hotline her because he wasn't in school. But he had gotten put out of school because he didn't have his medication. And so just in that, she didn't feel like she could come in and say that because in her mind, I'm going to be hotline, not we may have a resource to help her get medication to help her child get back in school. So I think being very direct but in a nurturing way about people being dishonest.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? We still got time. You don't have to be shy. All right. I think that's about it. Taedra, do you have any other comments or final thoughts?
I don't. I think those are great questions because I think these are definitely things that come up. Our clients are challenged when needs are met the same way we're challenged when our needs aren't met. And it's really understanding that the unhealthy ways they go about it is their way of meeting that need. And it could be, again, because they don't know another way. So we can just give them options and exposure, and hopefully they'll see that, the famous Dr. Phil question, when you ask, how's that been working for you, they can see that maybe something else can work for them. So I thank you, everyone, for listening, and I thank you for the comments and the questions. I'm sorry it was so quickly. I didn't think it would. But yeah, I think that's
one more question.
Okay.
We got a late question. Often I feel like clients don't come back if they feel like they aren't meeting goals or like they have failed. How can you address this?
And I think, and on that second, that safety and security, just be consistent with them. Call them, let them know they haven't met a goal, but maybe we have another resource. Maybe there's something else. You haven't forgotten about them. Just because, they're not coming. Again, they may have a goal of getting a job. I want to get a job. I have to get a job because they need the income, but not recognizing that they haven't had enough sleep. Jobs now do background checks. They have a criminal record. Like, there are other things that we could work on besides just getting that job, because that goal may be unattainable until we do some of the smaller things, and helping them understand that too.
And then we have one more question. They're asking, what was the verse you used to talk about changing what's inside first before you can help others? I think it was actually a quote from William Booth.
It was a quote from William Booth.
Okay. I'll include the quote in the follow-up email for those who would like that information. So, all right. Well, if there are no other questions, we will go ahead and sign off for today. Don't forget to answer the survey at the end, and be looking out in the next few days. We got the holiday Monday, so it might be an extra day, but we'll get those slides and all that follow-up information to you within the next few days. So have a good weekend, everyone, and thanks to Taedra again for a great presentation.
Thank you.